All right, well, hey, welcome to today's session, your 2019 agency growth plan, how to break $1 million in your digital marketing agency over the next 12 months. And I know that sounds like a bit of a bold statement, especially maybe for some of you that have been at this game for years and years, and you're like, how would I ever get to $1 million in 12 months? Well, the fact is, if you just kind of do the math, $83,000 per month makes you a seven-figure agency. If you can land 5 new clients per month at $1,350 per month, that would put you on a run rate to be 7 figures. And so that's what this program is all about. I'm going to be sharing real case studies, real examples of other digital marketing agencies that have gone to 7 figures. We're going to unpack the model. We're going to help you build a plan and really set yourself up for tremendous success going into 2019. Now, my promise to you is I'm going to share with you a plan that, if followed, will help you accelerate your agency to $1 million in annual revenue over the next 12 months. And that's pretty bold. But I'd love to first kind of get a sense of you guys. We got a live group here today. This is a live webinar. We're live on Facebook. We're live here in the Zoom meeting room. So I'd love to get to know you guys a little bit. So if you could, just in the comments, let me know how long you've been running your agency. And I will say there's really 2 ways that webinars go. There's the old way, which is where I speak, I show slides, you listen, you get bored, you open another tab and do something else, or you fall asleep, and that's really boring and it really doesn't accomplish anything. The new way is I speak, I share some slides, I ask questions, you interact in the comments box, I ask you to do a worksheet, you dive into that worksheet and you work on it, and then we interact. And when we interact and you have a chance to share what's going on with you and share what you're learning and share what questions you have, I find that you learn so much more. And that's really what I want for you, is for you to actually get something from this, as opposed to just another webinar with another, spattering of information. So please, in the comments box, how long have we been doing it? Okay, so Scott says, Scott's been doing it for 10 years. Wow. David's for 9 years. Tom's for 19 years. Off to the races, on and off for the last couple of years, says Nicholas. Just getting ready to start in 2019, says Jerry. David's just getting started. Manny is 1 year. Kristen is just getting started. Perfect. Awesome. So that's great. It gives me kind of a sense. We got some people that are veterans, 10 years and more, and then others that are just getting started. The other question that's going to help me get a sense is what you're charging on a monthly basis. And really what I'm interested, if you do only project works at this point, like you do website designs and you do funnel builds or whatever, and you charge a one-time fee, you can put that, but just put I charge X per project. But I'd really like to know what you're charging on a monthly basis for your clients. Okay, Kirsten says she's just a beginner. Nicholas says to date have been only project based. Come on, guys, I want to hear from you. On average, what are you charging on a monthly basis? Scott, SEO prices vary from client to client, but for HVAC clients, I charge $2,000 per month. David is planning to charge $300 per lead in damage restoration, so pay per lead services. So we have some people talking about project work. We have some people talking about like lower end cost per lead type things. Excellent. I want to hear from all of you guys. Remember, I want this to be interactive. I want to hear from you. So make sure you find the comments box and kind of post in there. Now, the last question I'm going to ask on this is, how many clients do you currently serve? Are you just getting started, less than 10? Serving between 10 and 50 and kind of scaling? On your way to 7 figures, I would say 50 plus. Would love to hear from you guys on where you're at on that front. Nicholas says he can only see some of the comments. When someone comments in there, they can choose from the drop down all attendees or just the panelists. So some people might be just posting in a way that I can see it. Others might be posting it so everyone can see it. All right, so Tom's got like 10 to 15 clients. So kind of starting to catch some momentum, but need to scale. Scott says he's got 15 clients, but 80 lead gen sites. Okay, cool. And we know some of you guys are just getting started, so it's obviously less than 10. So kind of a good mix that gives me some sense. Nicholas says about 2 clients per month with good revenue, 45K. So really much higher, which isn't bad, right? It's a way to go. If you can get big ticket clients to pay you big dollars, that's a win as well. So now this one, I don't need you guys to post in the comments box, but I just want you to, in your worksheet, or if you didn't get a chance to pull up the worksheet on a separate tab, I just want you to mark down what your current monthly recurring revenue is, because awareness precedes change, right? And this is about building a plan. And so I need to start you very clear on what your true monthly recurring is. So if you charge one-off projects at $45,000, you really don't have any recurring, because once that goes away, you're starting from scratch. So just somewhere, I want you to mark down what your current monthly recurring is. And I'll tell you, ours right now is $350,000 per month. So that's every single month. We know we got $350,000 coming in, and that number grows on a month-by-month basis. So what's your recurring? And I don't say that to make anybody feel bad, but you need to know kind of what your number is. Everybody has their number. I want you to put a Y in the comments box if you have your number. And if it's 0, I just want you to write down 0. If it's 10,000, I want you to write 10,000. Don't have to put it in the comments, but I do want to see in comments Y. That means yes, I've got my number dialed in. I know where I'm starting at least. Okay, Y's are coming in. Fantastic. Good. So now what I want to think about is the gap, right? Where do you want to be? If we could project forward into 2020, so we fast forward, 2019's over, where would you like to be from a revenue perspective? And this is really the more important number. I want you to mark this down. And, really I'm more interested in a monthly recurring number than an annual number. So do you want to be at 30,000 by the end of the year? Do you want to be at 83,000, which would put you at 7 figures? Where do you truly want to be, and what's the gap, right? And I want you to spend a couple minutes just mark this down, because the clearer you can get on the gap, the more you can make it tangible and real. You can actually put together a plan and do the work and get active to make it happen. So just spend a couple minutes, mark that down. And what I'm going to share with you really is the accelerator to close that gap. So wherever you're at today to where you want to go, I'm going to share our model, right? And how we grew from 0 to 7 figures and have now grown to multiple 7 figures, and have helped lots of other people implement. So if you pay close attention, I can really help you close that gap really quickly and effectively. So just real quick, I'm going to spend a ton of time on myself, but I am a self-taught internet marketing agency owner. I've spent the last 16 years trying to figure out the internet marketing space and grew my agency from 0 to, actually this slide's a little bit old, to we're going to do $4 million this year on $350,000 per month in recurring revenue. We've got a team of 30 full-time employees, made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in the United States the last 3 years in a row. But I will say that wasn't always my experience, right? It wasn't like I just magically got to multiple 7 figures. As a matter of fact, right out of high school, I started my first web company. Like a lot of you guys, I was excited. I was going to do web stuff, and I was going to, get paid, and I was going to be on the cutting edge with new sexy technology. And a little backstory. I'm a missionary kid. So my dad's a missionary. I lived in Haiti for the first 10 years of my life as a missionary's kid with 3 other sisters. And getting out of high school, when we moved back to the United States, I decided I was going to start a web company. I told my dad, I need some money, right? I need to get some training, and I need to set up a little office, and I need to get some logos and some folders made, and all the things I thought I needed to have a successful agency. And I went to work. And I will tell you, for my dad, I told you he's a missionary. Borrowing $10,000 from him is like borrowing $100,000, because there wasn't a lot of financial abundance in the house. But he did it. I don't know where he might have taken out a second loan or something, but he gave me the $10,000, and that meant a lot to me. Like, I really needed this to work. And for pretty much my entire college career, from age 19 to about 22, I was full time in my agency, right? Building websites, selling hosting, and I had the wrong model, because what I was doing is I would charge $1,000 for a website, like $800 to $1,200 one time for a website, and then $50 a month to host. And I was like, man, if I sell enough of these websites, over time, this $50 is going to turn into a really big residual income. And month after month, year after year, I was working 40 to 60 hours a day, chasing down clients, like doing all of the standard things, like sitting in BNI meetings, making cold calls, sending out flyers to just about anybody I could, being a very generalist agency with that model. And after years of like paying myself nothing, not having any momentum or anything to show for it, I wound up shutting the business down. And it really was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, to go to my dad, who had taken out this $10,000 and given it to me, and tell him, I'm sorry, this just didn't work, right? I got to go get a real job now. I'm getting married. I need to get a real job. And, I say that to really tell you, maybe that's your experience, maybe it's not, but I was then able to figure out what I was doing wrong, right? I didn't have the right business model. I wasn't marketing in a way that made sense. I was selling the wrong thing in the wrong way that really had no interest to our clients. And once I made that change and made that shift, my business started growing very, very steadily and very, very quickly. So I'm going to be sharing that model with you throughout today's session, and I'm excited to unpack it because I know the impact it can have. And again, this is just a picture of our team we recently took. We got a real bricks and mortar office here in Miami, Florida. So some of you guys in South Florida would love to have you come, check us out sometime. And this is a picture of me and Dean at the Inc. 5000 Gala 3 years ago when we made it the first time in San Antonio. And it was a lot of fun. But I'd say more important than any of that stuff, right? Yeah, so I've got my backstory, I've got my success, but I've also, over the last 4 years, taken what I learned and showed other digital marketing agencies how to do the same. So at this point, I've worked with probably about 100 digital marketing agency owners, and I've been able to help guys like Alan Hillsberg and Jeff Fisher and Brian Stearman go from, not having anything going on, like really just a really stagnant start, to the point where like Alan is now a 7-figure digital marketing agency owner. Jeff Fisher was able to position himself within his niche and actually sold it last year. Now he works with us as a success coach. And I think you can put stock in what I'm going to be sharing with you, because I personally have done it and am currently doing it, and I've helped others do the same. So I think this is a really valuable use of your time. I applaud you for taking time out of your day to think about your plan and to invest in yourself to figure out what it is you need to do to get things going. And so now let's dive into the growth plan. And really, when we look at growing our digital marketing agency and trying to build something of significance, there's some challenges we face. There's some challenges that I hear from all the digital marketing agencies I talk with. First of all, it's really hard to consistently land new clients, right? We wind up getting either busy with 1 or 2 clients that we're serving, or we're doing the wrong kind of marketing and not able to get in the door or get the prospect's attention. And it can really, once we even do get clients, it can be hard to get them results and get them to stay long term. So in this digital marketing space, it's hard to get the client, but then it's almost equally as hard to serve that client and get them results that make them want to stay. Oftentimes we wind up constantly reinventing the wheel. So I don't know how many of you guys can relate to this, but I know this was my experience for quite some time. I would start down a path, right? I'd be like, okay, I'm going to cold call all day. I'm going to cold call till I get clients. And then I'd hear somebody say something like, you can use direct mail and get people to hire you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check that out. And I kind of start down that path, but the cold call thing didn't really work. So let's try this. And then I would hear someone say, well, the wave of the future is this new fancy thing, videos or social. And I'd start to do that. And because I didn't have a clear plan and a clear direction and really a clear model, I felt like I was constantly reinventing the wheel. And that might be something that you're dealing with. And ultimately what that leads to is slow or no growth, right? Either you're just taking 1 step forward, 1 step back, maybe 2 steps forward, one step back, or you're just not growing at all. And if you're not growing, ultimately you're not going to be able to generate the income and the revenue to live your desired lifestyle. And what we really want to avoid is total failure, right? Like what I had to deal with my dad. It was like, okay, this just didn't work. I got to shut it down. I got to go get a normal job. And that's the reality. If we don't have a clear plan and we don't have the right model, that is pretty much where we're headed. So what's the inverse to that? If we've got a clear plan and we know, okay, I've got the right business model, I know who I'm going to go after, and I've got a strategy where I'm proactively reaching out and landing clients on a new basis, we're able to land those new clients. We know that we can knock it out of the park for them on a consistent basis, and that's what's so important if we're going to retain the clients, right? We know that We can do something that's actually going to get them a result and create an experience that makes them not just sign up, but makes them stay long term. And when you've got that going on, when you're landing clients on a consistent basis and you're getting them good results and retaining them, that's where you start to get consistent growth. And that's really what I want for all of you guys, to have a clear plan that's built to win, that can give you the consistent growth, which ultimately gives you the ability to build a truly successful agency and live your desired lifestyle, right? Which is, it's one thing to have money, but it's another thing to be able to, to have the freedom and to have the time to live your true desired lifestyle. So I kind of ask a couple of these questions at the front end to get a sense of where you're at. But really, digital marketing agencies tend to be somewhere on this scale between startup and significance, right? And startup is you don't have any clients, and I know a couple of you guys mentioned that's where you're at, and that's exciting, right? Because it's like, oh man, I'm gonna get this new opportunity. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna seize the day. But it's also somewhere you can't stay very long, right? If you're in startup phase making less than 10 grand per month for any period of time, let's just call it 3, 6, 9 months, pretty soon you're broke, right? And that's nobody wants to stay in startup for a long time. So we want to move past that stage as quickly as possible. The next stage is struggle, right? Struggle is like kind of where you're in between the $10,000 to $15,000 a month range. Maybe you have like 10 or 15 clients. And really what's frustrating with struggle is that you've got some clients, you actually have work that you have to do, but there's not enough money really to go around to do much, and there's not much money to build a team or to get the work done. And really where I want to see all of you guys at a minimum over the next, let's call it 6 to 9 months, is to scale, right? And where you're at scale is between $15,000 and $50,000 per month. And it starts to get exciting when you're in that scale phase, because that's where you start to have enough financial resources to systematize your marketing a little bit, systematize your fulfillment a little bit, so you're not doing everything yourself. But ultimately, success, 50K plus, and significance, 7-figure agency, it is really where your life completely changes. Because when you get to significance or 7 figures, you know that you're making enough money to live your desired lifestyle. Like at 7 figures, you can drive the nice car, have the nice house, take the nice vacations. And more importantly, you can have the freedom to not have to do it all yourself, because you get enough revenue to put a team in place to help with fulfillment and to help with the prospect and to help with all of that other stuff. And you know that you're making an impact because your clients are staying with you and they're getting return on investment, and you're able to pour into the lives of the people that you employ. And the 7-figure agency, this business, training business that I run, that's what it's about. Like, my whole goal with this is to move at least 100 digital marketing agencies to 7 figures or significance, because I know the life change that can have. So that's just kind of the story of significance. I know that whenever I got to that level, it changed my life. I'm a happily married man. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 5-year-old named Brandon and a 2-year-old named Ryan. And really my world revolves around them. Like, it revolves around providing for them, spending time with them, giving them good experiences. And for me, when I got to significance, it did give me the ability, to buy my dream house down here in Palmetto Bay, get my wife and I into luxury cars, put my kids into, the best private schools in the area. But like, more than that, it's the freedom to spend time with them and not have to work 40 hours every single week, to be able to take trips and to enjoy ourselves, and to have the financial abundance to afford that stuff and be able to support my family. My dad, like I said, is a missionary, to support their spiritual endeavors as well. So that's my why. Like, I'm passionate about growing my agency and getting that, but that's what I want for all of you, to be able to get to that next level so that you can have that next level life. And so I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Why is growing your digital marketing agency as aggressively as possible important for you? And this is really critical that I hear from you guys in the comments, because without a strong why, you're going to build a plan, but 2, 3, 6 weeks from now, you'll be like, oh, okay, I couldn't get those cold emails out. I couldn't, do those webinars. And it's really, really important that you're clear on your why, because when you're clear on that, your plan really guides you and you can do the activity. And when things go wrong, you have the wherewithal to get back up and to keep going strong. All right, so thank you guys. So Scott says freedom. Tom says my wife, kids, and retirement is why my financial security. David says freedom to have a comfortable lifestyle. David says security. Nicholas, build a lifestyle centered around a positive business and family. April says to leave a legacy for my grandbabies. I like that. And to have some financial freedom so that I can help others in the community. Beautiful. And really that's what it is, right? Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a big business with lots of revenue, but like there's a reason we want that. And when we're clear about that reason, we can take the activity necessary to make it happen. So again, I did put together a workbook. I've posted it a couple times in comments. I'm going to post it one more time. I want to make sure that you guys have this. Have it open in a separate tab if you haven't printed it, because I'm going to be asking questions that are going to make you think. And as you think, I want you to type the answers. There's power beyond just hearing. There's power in hearing and writing and really putting things down on paper. And that doesn't necessarily mean handwritten. I like to do everything digitally anyways. Like I like to key it in. So just know that worksheet is there, and I want to have you guys all tap into it. So I think the foundation of your 2019 agency growth plan is clarity of goals, right? Brian Tracy, I'm a big fan of his. He's got some great training out there about goals and self-development. But one of the great quotes from one of his books was, "Success is goals, all else is commentary." So what that means to me is that all of the different things that you have going on in your life, the things that bog you down, the things that you wind up getting busy doing things. But if you don't have clarity and goals and like what it is that you're going to accomplish in the next 12, 24, 36 months, then you're stuck in commentary, which is another word for BS, right? You're getting busy with nonsense. So it's important. Anytime I have a slowdown in my life, a slowdown in my progress, I realize I've lost track of my goals and where I really want to go in a specific period of time. So I want to spend a little time kind of mapping out some goals. Really, I believe without goals, you're almost like a boat out at sea where there's no wind. And you're just kind of sitting there stagnant. There's no momentum. You're just kind of stalled out. But when you do spend the time to write down clear goals and put some mechanisms in place to hold yourself accountable, it's almost like you can create your own wind. You can create your momentum and really start to accelerate yourself into the direction that you intend. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have heard this Harvard study that was conducted back in 1979. Basically, they interviewed a group of graduates from Harvard, and they asked them, do you have goals and do you have plans for accomplishment of your goals? 84% of the graduates had no specific goals. So they were going to graduate, and whatever happened, right? It was kind of like, we'll just go with the flow. 13 of them had goals, but they weren't written down. So it was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but they didn't write down what it was that they were going to do. 3% had clear goals that were written down with a very specific plan to accomplish them. And here's the important part. That's why I'm sharing this case study with you. The result, the 13% of the class that had goals that weren't written down were earning as much as 2 times as much as the rest of the class. But even more important was the ones that had goals and had written down those goals and had a plan, like here's what I'm going to do in order to make it happen, were earning 10 times as much as all of the other Harvard graduates. And what I want to do is just reconvince you the importance of having goals and really the importance of writing those goals down and building that plan. And I know that you believe that because you're sitting on a planning webinar today. So the goal framework that's worked great for me and that I'm going to encourage you guys to embrace is, have your goals written down in a plan. You need a minimum a 1-year goal. So by the end of 2019, a quarterly goal, which is really more tangible, that you're like, okay, I can wrap my head around this quarter between January 1st and March. But really having that, and then a monthly goal. Like, what is it that you're going to get done on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis? And then more important is to make sure that you have a stopping point. Like where at the end of the month, you're going to stop and you're going to reflect. And then at the end of the quarter, you're going to stop and you're going to reflect. And at the end of the year, you're going to stop and you're going to reflect. This was a game changer for me because I would always set goals. Like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I would go through one of Brian Tracy's programs and I'd even write it down in the workbook. But then it would just kind of be set into the ether and, there were no teeth to it, right? But if you structure your world and your life and your business around, I'm going to set a goal, and then I know at the end of the month, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to look, did I accomplish the goal? If I did, let's celebrate that. If I didn't, let's kind of reflect. what did I do wrong, what could I have done differently, what activity did I fail to take. And when you can start to do that, you can develop one of the most important muscles that there are, in my opinion, is the ability, the muscle to set an intention, do the activity, and accomplish the desired outcome. And so this was a game changer for me. It was a game changer for my business partner Dean, and that was really what enabled us to move forward. And so I really want to encourage you guys, follow this mechanism. I'm going to give you some tools to do this. And so I want you to get clear on the goal, right? Which is, how much recurring monthly revenue are you going to have realistically by the end of the year? How much you're going to charge your clients on a monthly basis? And then how many clients will you need in order to be at that level by the end of 2019? And this might seem like basic stuff. It's like, come on, Josh, really? Is this what we're doing? Yeah. I mean, it's really that important. And I promise you there's more to today's session than just setting goals and writing them down on paper, but it's a critical first step. So I'm going to stop for a minute. This is going to be awkward on a live webinar like this, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to ask you to spend this time to work the math on this, because the tendency is, okay, yeah, that's a great exercise. I'll do that later today, or I'll do that next week, or I'll do that at the end of the year when I'm on vacation mode. And then you never get to that process, and you never actually map it out. So I just want you to answer these 3 questions. If you have the worksheet printed, fill it in. If you've got the document listed, type it into your doc. How much recurring revenue by the end of 2019? And then how many clients are you going to need in order to make that a reality? And just in the comments box, if you could put why when you're done, that way I know, okay, I'm done, and we can continue to press forward. Where'd my timer go? Tom says why. That's good. I meant like the letter Y, but that works as well. So does everybody have their target? They know where they're going? All right, good stuff. So, just as an example, if you're going to end the year at $35,000 and you're going to charge $1,000 per month, that means you need 35 clients. So pretty basic math. And then the other thing is I don't want you to do this now because this takes a little bit more time, but I've got a great worksheet that I put together. This is kind of the chassis that drives everything we do. It's our sales and retention tracking sheet. And ultimately what it does, it just is an Excel sheet broken down by month, and it helps you plot out how many clients you're going to sell each month, or what your target is, what the value of those clients is going to be, and what you might expect to be your churn rate. If you're just getting started, there's no anticipation for churn. If you've got 30, 40, 50 clients, you need to kind of factor in what's my churn going to be. And what this sheet does is it gives you the ability to set a goal for the year and then see by quarter what you would need to do in order to make it happen. And this tool is extremely powerful. So I'm sharing this with you guys. It's in your workbook. All you have to do, go back later, click that link, fill in the cells, and I promise you, if you start to track along on a monthly basis, here's how many clients I sold, here's how many clients I lost, my goal was to sell 5, I only sold 3, or my goal was to lose only 1 and we didn't lose any, you'll know, and this is the most important thing, you'll know what your target for the month is, you'll know whether you hit your target or not, and you'll know if you're making the right kind of progress to move you to the next level or not. So I really want you guys to commit to fill out that sheet and use it on a month-by-month basis. Just as an example, this is a game changer for Brian Kaskavalchian. He's actually a good personal friend of mine. He runs G4 Marketing Group, which is a business that really focuses on roofing and remodeling contractors, providing marketing services. And he had a pretty solid business. It was like $50,000 per month. He built it up over several years, but he kind of stagnated there at $50,000 per month. It was like year after year after year, he kind of hit the same number. And, I was masterminding with him and we were talking about his business. And it was kind of like, why is it that your business, Josh, continues to move forward and mine is stagnated? And, it was about 3 years ago, the first time I unpacked this sales retention tracking sheet. And we did it for him, right? We put in his numbers, we put in his targets. And for the first time in a while, he had a specific target on a month-by-month basis that he was striving for, and and his team stopped at the end of each month, at the end of each quarter, to reflect, like, are we moving forward? Are we making things happen? And ever since he started using this, his business has just accelerated. Now, he's done a lot of other things. I'm not saying this is the only reason his business accelerated, but this, he says, it was a big driver for him. And today, like as of 2018, his business did like $2 million, over $150,000 in monthly recurring. That's almost 3 times growth as a function of really getting clear on where he's going to go and having those stopping points. So this is extremely powerful. I want to make sure that you guys tap into it. So in your worksheet, there's the first page after the title is key insights and actions. And what I want you to do, usually for any of these sections that I cover, there should be at least 1 or 2 key insights. You're like, okay, yes, I know I need to do this, and this is why. I want you to put them in there, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments, what's been most valuable so far, right? And the reason I do this is because, again, I don't want to just drop information on you for the course of an hour and a half, and then at the end you'd be like, okay, that was cool. Like, I want you to pause, I want you to ingest the information and really internalize it. So in the comments box, what's been most useful so far? What will you implement? What have been some of the key insights? Post it in the comments box. I'm not seeing any comments. And all right. So David says setting monthly goals for achievement. Keep coming. Success is goals, says Jerry. Scott, I'm moving from SEO and focusing more on pay-per-call and call-only ads. Okay, that's fine. What else? What are the key insights do you guys have? And I want you also to mark them in the document. How many of you guys are going to commit to use this sales retention tracking sheet in order to really set targets for yourself? Put Y, the letter Y, if you can do that. Okay, so we got a bunch of Y's coming in. Awesome. All right, so let's move to the 7-figure plan, right? This is really what you guys came for. You didn't come for a session on goals, even though I gave it to you anyways, because it's really, I think, that important. But you came for the plan, right? You came for some specific actionables that you can implement that will move your business forward. And so really what I want for you guys more than anything else is a business that can scale. We talked about that a little bit. Something that will provide money for you and your family so you can afford to take the adventures, so that you can afford to buy the things that you want, so you can afford to support the community. Freedom, because a scaled business gives you freedom because you have a team that handles the work and handles the client relationships and handles everything else, so you don't have to do it all yourself. Because you can build a 7-figure agency and do it all yourself, and you're more bound to the business than when you didn't have anything going at all. And I don't want that. I want you to have freedom and impact, right? Knowing that what you do matters, right? That you're serving your team, that you're investing in to do the work, that you're serving your clients, and that they're getting great results. And I really feel that that's what we want to build, and that's what the 7-figure agency plan is about. And in order to get there, the thing you have to be really good at the beginning, and the systems you have to develop, are to land clients, right? Because if you can land clients on a consistent basis, the money takes care of itself. Then you have to have some systems to fulfill for your clients. And by that I mean, like, get the work done, but really get the work done well. So they get a win right out of the gates. They have a great customer experience. They understand where the business relationship is going, and they want to stay long term, but also fulfilled in a way that doesn't require you to do it all yourself. And then you have to retain, right? If you can retain the clients, you can get some momentum. If you land a client, lose a client, land a client, lose a client, land a client, and then lose a client, you never have any of the momentum that you're after. So the 7-figure agency plan is really built around landing clients, fulfilling your services and knocking it out of the park for your clients, and retaining long term. So in order to land clients on a consistent basis, you have to be able to fill your funnel. Get prospects coming to you ready to buy. You have to build your authority and kind of position yourself as the expert, so you're not having to chase people down. And you have to have a great sales process. You have to know how, when somebody does raise their hand, you can have a great business conversation, you can tap into their needs and their desires, and you can make it clear what it is that you have and what you need, what you can bring to the table. On the fulfillment side, you've got to choose a model that serves you. I talked earlier about the model that I was running for years when my business went under and I had to shut it down. But you need a model that's going to serve you, and I'll talk about that. You need to package and systematize. So by package, you need to package it in a way that actually gets the client result, not piecemeal, not little random, activity services, but package it knowing I'm going to do this and you're going to get this result. And then systematize it in a way that you don't do it all yourself. And eventually, like when you get to a certain level, start to develop a team so that the serving of the clients takes care of itself. The fulfillment of the work takes care of itself. The account management and ongoing, retention of the client takes care of itself. And then to retain, you have to make sure you've engineered a great kickoff process where they have a wonderful experience. They see, wow, man, I got all of this information right out of the gates, that they gathered my information in a professional way. They sent me something really special that made me feel excited about the relationship. You have to have a good communication rhythm to retain. It's not as simple as send them an automatic report, like engineering what it is you're going to do on a monthly basis, how you're going to communicate, how you're going to help seed the vision for why they stay with you, not just 1 month or 5 months, but they stay with you for years and years. And this is truly the 7-figure agency plan. Once you get all of this stuff fleshed out and you get to a level of mastery, getting to 7 figures and having a business that truly serves you in that way becomes like very natural. So I'd like to know what you guys need help with most, right? And really this breaks down into 3 or 4 key areas: getting clients, fulfilling services, retaining long-term, and then scaling the team. Which of those 4 would you guys say you need the most? I want to hear from you in the comments box. Scott's asking what reports we send to our clients. I'll get to that. Tom wants to know about scaling the team. Manny wants to know about getting clients. A bunch of getting clients flowing in right now, fulfilling the service, getting the right model, landing clients. Okay, great. Okay. So, I kind of guessed that this was going to be the case, but, I wanted to make sure it was congruent with where most of you are. And we can unpack the other stuff on another session for some of you guys. But so really, the main things you need at this point right now to really build your plan for 2018, first is to choose the model. Make sure you've got a right model that you can build the business on. Fill your funnel so that you have leads coming in on a consistent basis, and build authority so that you can not have to chase everybody down, but the customers come to you pre-positioned to buy. So let's dive into choosing the model real quick. Really, I find that it's important to focus on the rule of ones. If you want to know the fastest way to really grow your digital marketing agency, I got this from Taki Moore. I'm a big fan of his if you're not familiar with his work. But he got this from Clay Collins, the guy from Lead Pages, who's built multiple 7-figure agencies in very, very rapid sequence. And Taki asked, what is the key to your success and why you're able to grow so quick? And really, the rule of ones. 1 target market, 1 lead generation strategy, 1 conversion mechanism, 1 program for 1 year until you're beyond $1 million in recurring revenue. So 1 target market, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We serve plumbing and HVAC companies. I don't know what target you serve, but having 1 specific target market will make your life exponentially easier, your marketing exponentially better. 1 lead generation strategy. So being really good at 1 specific, whether it's cold email, whether it's cold calling, whether it's Facebook advertising, not running 20 different things that are just very, very poor, but having 1 that's really fleshed out and consistently generates leads for you. 1 conversion mechanism, and I'm going to recommend that just be one-on-one sales via Zoom meeting or via the phone. 1 program, and this is going to be a challenge for a lot of you guys because, you want to sell ad hoc or you want to sell, customized work. Well, you need really, if you're going to scale to 7 figures quickly, you need to have 1 really clear, this is what I sell and this is how much I charge. And then stick to it for a year. The big problem is a lot of people start down these paths. They start, okay, I'm going to do this niche and then I'm going to provide this service. But 2 or 3 months in, they change things up again and they go down a different path. And what Clay Collins said was, to the extent that you add another number to any of these, like if you try and do 2 niches or you try and sell 2 programs or 5 programs, God forbid, you multiply the complexity, which makes it that much longer before you can truly get your business to the next level. So I really want you guys to focus on the rule of ones and then pay attention to the money map, right? There's a lot of different ways to 7 figures. One way is to have one client at $83,000 per month, right? That would get you to $1 million. Another way would be 8 or 9 clients at $10,000 per month, also gets you to 7 figures. 83 clients at $1,000 per month, 166 at $500 per month, or 830 at $100 per month. And I've had a lot of people trying to come through our program and say, hey, I'm going to sell something for $500 a month, or I'm going to sell something for $299 a month. And they're like, we're going to, eventually it's going to snowball and we're going to sell enough clients. Well, what I found is it takes almost as much energy to sell somebody a $2,000 a month program as it is to sell them a $200 program. And you'd be much better served to just land fewer clients at a higher dollar amount to really expedite the growth of your agency. And really, I think the sweet spot, and if you can charge more power to you, I think the sweet spot is between $1,000 and $2,000 per month. Because if you can land 3 to 5 clients per month at between $1,000 and $2,000 per month, you can get to 7 figures in really like 12 to 24 months. And mathematically, 5 clients at $1,350, 5 clients per month, so paying you $1,350 per month, gets you to 7 figures in just 12 months. So a couple fundamentals, right? I think my point on this whole section here is charge enough in monthly recurring that it can actually be significant enough to help you grow. One niche, everybody I've worked with that's had success and really grown is in one niche, and I really focus hard on that. Alan was a generalist. He decided he was going to focus on funeral homes, built his model around it, built the monthly recurring, went to 7 figures. Brian Stearman, lawn care maintenance, started focusing on lawn care maintenance companies over the period of about 12 months, 7-figure agency. And I can tell you example after example, but for every one of those is a dozen that decided, I'll kind of be general. I like to work with the people in my local backyard, and I think I can sell enough clients like that, and they never get past $250,000 per year. The other thing I really think is fundamental for the model is recurring projects only. No project work, no check payment, no partial payment deposits. That was my game in my initial business, which I talked to you guys about. I would sell a website, I'd get 50%, $500 today, $500, once the website's done, and then $50 a month. And it never amounted to a hell of beans. Even if I sold 7 clients a month, every month I'd have to go out and sell 7 brand new clients just to be at the same exact level. But if you're selling monthly recurring and the number is large enough, that's where you get some significant momentum. And I think your monthly charge needs to be at least $1,000 per month. If you're not getting $1,000 per month, first of all, and I'll tip my hat to Lynn Askins for this, you're probably not solving a big enough problem, right? You probably aren't really good at getting your clients results, or you just don't have confidence in what you're doing. I can promise you $1,000 plus is going to get you there a lot faster than $1,000 or less. So a great example of this is John Tate, company I work with. He's based here in South Florida as well. His company is Agency Marketing Machine, and he focuses on insurance agencies. And I spent years in a mastermind with John Tate. He's a generalist agency. He was selling project work. He was selling some recurring client work. He was in fashion, but he was also in e-commerce. He was kind of all over the place. And month after month, we'd get together, and my business was taking off, and his business was just kind of stagnating, and he was always reinventing the wheel, and he was always wondering why he didn't make any money. And we finally convinced him to focus on a niche. And so he focused on the insurance agency niche. He built his recurring revenue model. He really went to town selling one core program. And over the last 3 years, I've seen his business just blossom from complete struggle to right now. His business is going to do about $1.5 million this year, consistently doing over, I think, $130,000 per month in recurring revenue. And it was just a massive game changer. And that's what I want for you guys. I want you to get the right business model, because it really makes all the difference in the world between struggle and rapid success. So I want to pause. We covered a lot there in the model piece, but I just want to pause and say, what will you commit to with your model? going into 2019 that you know, and I'm not probably telling you anything you didn't already know, right? You need to be in a niche. You've heard that dozens of times. You need to charge monthly recurring. Maybe that hasn't been honed in as much. And you need to have a decent monthly recurring fee that makes financial sense. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I want you guys to type this into your insights and action sheet. What will you commit to in your model that is going to have an impact for you going into next year? I told you guys at the beginning I'd like to keep this interactive. I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to talk, and you're going to answer. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. So Scott's asking a good question, which is, so he's got clients in lots of different verticals, and how would he drop one and focus on one niche? What I'm not suggesting is don't go out and fire your clients, right? Don't go out and fire the ones, but you can choose how you market, who you go after, and what you attract, right? So it's not lost on me. When we started, we had some dentists, and we had some eye doctors, and we had some roofers, and we had some plumbers. We just decided going forward, plumbers was probably going to be our best play. And we started focusing our marketing and our lead generation around plumbers. And we started landing plumbers. And because we were positioned and we had experience, it started getting easier and easier to get plumbers. And at some point, it was like, why would I want to take anybody else? Because I've got these guys coming in all the time. They already look at me as the expert, and they're willing to pay me top dollar. So the best answer is, don't cancel people necessarily, but just choose how you're going to position yourself and what you're going to go after. April says, raising my prices to focus on one niche. Awesome. David says, closing 5 clients a month at a $1,000 a month minimum. David says, I liked Alan's comment to study nothing outside the mastermind. He does quite well with this and $80,000 per month. Absolutely. Alan Hillsberg, I think you're referring to. David Glass, all water damage vertical. Tom says, one niche, recurring revenue, goal of $1,000 per month in the medical field. Scott says, good input. Manny says, non-profit. So I think, going back to Nicholas's comment, you almost need to give yourself an information diet, right? There's hundreds of gurus out there, and there's hundreds of experts teaching in this space. And all of them are good. Most of them are really good. But you have to decide what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and just kind of commit, right? If you're with somebody and they've got a plan and they're showing you that and it's working and you want to go down that path, don't jump into like 7 different programs. Maybe I'll learn a little bit here, a little bit there. Everybody's got their own angle. The people that have done best in the 7-figure agency model that we teach are the ones that said, look, I'm just going to do what Josh did, right? I'm going to choose a niche. I'm going to position myself as the expert. I'm going to charge monthly recurring. I'm going to get my clients these great results and create this experience, have seen the best results. So that was a great point. Just decide what you're going to focus on and stick with that. So now that we've built the model, and the reason I started with model is because if you're not clear on what you're going to sell and what you're going to charge and kind of what your business model is going to look like, there's no sense figuring out how you're going to market or how you're going to position yourself, because you'd just be filling yourself up with dead end stuff. So now we can talk about how to fill the funnel. And really, when it comes to landing clients and getting clients on a consistent basis, there's a lot of different avenues and a lot of different things you can do, right? There's inbound marketing. I'm a big fan of inbound marketing. You might have noticed, but like publishing content, conducting interviews, putting information out on blogs, putting out information into the world that your prospects would find and think, man, that's good. That person must know what they're talking about, and magnetically attracting people. That's one of my main plays, and that's like one of my favorite strategies for landing clients. Then there's marketed lead generation. That's like running pay-per-click ads, Facebook ads, doing direct mail, doing things to go out and really market to your database or market to your sphere, to your niche, and get clients. There's association and speaking involvement. That's like joining the association within your niche, being at their events, finding opportunities to speak at their events. That's extremely powerful. Like, there are guys that's their number one breadwinner, and it works extremely well. There's joint ventures. I just put it as JV, but that's finding the gurus in your space. So as an example, Jimmy Nicholas, who some of you guys know, has built a great 7-figure business, like $3 million per year, focuses on orthodontics. And one of his main strategies was he aligned with the number one guru or trainer in the orthodontic space, got his trust, got him to see what he was capable of, proved himself. And then that guru started introducing Jimmy to their client base. And through that strategic alliance, that joint venture, his business has blossomed. And then there's cold outreach, right? There's just doing cold calls, sending cold emails, doing brute force to kind of shake the bushes and get clients to come in. And I believe there's a place for all of these, right? We get business, actually, believe it or not, through pretty much all of these avenues, but certain of them work better than others. Certain of them are quicker than others. So what I want to focus on is cold outreach, because for a lot of you, this is something you can control. It's something you can roll out today, start being aggressive with, and generate leads and opportunity. Associations and speaking, because that's probably our number one client acquisition play. Being in the associations, being active, being known, extremely powerful. And inbound marketing, like putting out good content and then getting customers to come to you pre-positioned to buy. So I'm going to drill down on those three. Marketed, there's a great play for marketed leads. There's a great play for JVs, but there's a little bit longer gestation period. And the challenge with marketed leads is you have to have some pretty significant money to put into it, knowing that you're not going to get an immediate return on investment. So landing clients, right? Really, you need a couple things. You need a clear target. We talked about that. Having one specific niche. You need a lead magnet, right? Something that you can offer to them that they're like, wow, that's good, right? And raise their hand and get them to opt in to your world. I really believe every agency needs an appointment funnel where once somebody gets access to your stuff, they can get themselves added to your schedule. And a really nice tight sales process where you can confidently get somebody on the phone, help them understand where there's problems with what they're doing today that's preventing them to get to where they really want, and then show them your solution. Look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Have a great follow-up package that can go out after the sales. And I know that when you do that on a consistent basis, you can start to close deals on a pretty consistent basis. So when it comes to the opt-in funnel, there's lots of different opt-ins you can have. What I found is that the cheat sheet works best. So having a very simple, the ultimate plumbing and HVAC online marketing cheat sheet, or the ultimate dental marketing cheat sheet, right? And you just list out the main things they need to know. And the reason it works well is because it's high desire and it's like low commitment, right? You can get a cheat sheet without having to invest a ton of time. So having a simple one-page cheat sheet, offering that to the people within your niche, having that on your website as the main low barrier to entry option is a great play. So I put up two examples for you. This is also in your guide, so you can go back to this after the fact. But you want to have at least one opt-in cheat sheet or opt-in funnel where people can opt in and get your stuff. This is Dean's from Bug Biz. He focused on the pest control niche, and he was nice enough to share his checklist that he developed following our model. The next is to make sure you have an appointment funnel. So for anything you promote on like your basic cheat sheet or your guide or your keyword list, lots of cool things you can offer to your industry that would be really interesting, is that once they opt in, get them straight to the appointment funnel where they can be exposed to you. Say, hey, look, what you just requested is going to be great. I sent it to you via email. The next step is let's schedule a time, right? Because you didn't just download the cheat sheet because you want the information. You want the result. So the result is best if you have somebody that can implement it for you. And so what I want to do is offer you the opportunity to sit down one-on-one. We can talk about your business and how we can execute this for you. So you can have lots of different funnels, but I want you to have one opt-in funnel and one appointment funnel. They opt in and they get the opportunity to sit down with you one-on-one. And of course, the ability to choose a time on your schedule, whether that's Calendly or Appointment Core, lots of different ways to set it up, but that's what you need to have in place. And that's really where you can start to have a base funnel to build on. But what often happens is when I deal with digital marketing agencies, they're like, yeah, I got my funnel, I got my cheat sheet, maybe even I publish my book, but there's nobody requesting it. There's nobody getting it. I don't have a list. So how do you get a list? How do you get the names and contact details for the people within your niche so that you can invite them to your stuff, so that you can give them your guide, so that you can potentially get them on your calendar? Well, one option is to buy or scrape. So buy a list means you just go out, you search list of dentists in South Florida, and you buy that list. Scrape is you run a tool like Lead Kahuna, which I'm a big fan of, and it goes out and it scrapes the names, phone numbers, email addresses, and contact details of people. You could borrow a list, and this is a tremendously powerful play. I'm a big advocate for it. That borrow means you find an expert that already has your list or that's already selling to your ideal customer, and you form some type of relationship where they will mail on your behalf or they will give you their list because there's something in it for them. So borrowing a list is a great play. And then there's build the list. Right? And your built list is your most powerful list, but it also takes a heck of a long time, right? And we're wanting to get you to 7 figures in 2019. And so what we're going to focus on is buying and scraping, because that's something you can start tomorrow to build your list and to build your following. So that's what I'm going to suggest. And of course, there's a play for each. 7-figure agency blueprint, which we offer, is something where we go deep into each of these different ways to build your list. But let's focus on buying your list. So my favorite list that you can get access to right away is the association list. The good thing about an association list is they're members of the group. They had to pay in order to get there, and you get all of the verified detail. It's like legitimate people, and you get usually name, address, phone number, and then you might have to employ somebody to go to their websites and identify their emails in case the association doesn't provide it. But this is a great way to get your initial list. You can scrape your list with a tool like Lead Kahuna or some other scrapers. These are just tools where you set a parameter, plumbers, and then you set an area, Dallas, Texas, and then it runs the internet and then spits out a list. Here's 120 plumbers in Dallas, Texas, right? And I've got a great program that really maps out how to use Lead Kahuna, how to scrape the lists. You can just search list of dentists in Miami, right? And then buy a list off somebody online. Fiverr has some great sources. If you go list of whatever or help me build a list, there's people that already own the scraping tools, or maybe they own the data already, that will sell you access to lists very affordably. And then you can also do a custom project through Upwork, where I need someone that I'm going to pay on a project basis to find me a list of all of the damage restoration companies in the United States, right? And so there's lots of ways to build your list. Some of them have a bigger cost, others don't. My favorite are associations and scraping with a tool like Lead Kahuna. And once you have your list, then you can start to do some cold outreach to get customers to raise their hands. So you're not cold calling, but you're kind of getting some people that are predispositioned to hear you out. And so we get a clear target, which is our niche. We either buy or we scrape the list, and then we have to have a mechanism to get their attention. So that means cold emails, web forms through their website, actually voice drops, automatic voice drops, and social messenger. I find that if you hit at least 3 of these 4, you can really get their attention, right? And you have to do some volume with cold outreach. You can't send 10 or 15, but there are tools like Lead Kahuna, like Mailshake, where you can upload your list, put a campaign into play, have them touched via email, voice drop, social messenger, and not everybody, but some of them raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say. And then you're jumping in conversations with people that are interested, as opposed to making 100 calls to get one person that's interested. You guys get the distinction there between using cold outreach to get some warm raised hands versus just cold calling again and again and again and again. Really, the whole idea is to leverage this so we can get strategy sessions. Now, there's 3 campaigns for cold outreach that we found to be really, really effective. The first is the one company in your area campaign. And what this is, most of us offer exclusivity. We don't really care. There might only be 325 markets, which means we can serve 325 clients. So we don't care to offer that we're only going to work with one in each market. So we might as well use that to our advantage. And one great strategy is to scrape a city like Miami and then put together a multi-step cold outreach campaign using email, using web forms, using social messenger that just says, hey, look, I'm looking to work with just one plumber in the Miami area. It's going to be first come, first serve. Just wanted to see if you'd be open to that, right? And then kind of hit them with that same outreach strategy from a lot of different angles. And you'll get people that reply back. Yeah, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I'd be interested in chatting with you about that. Like, how does that work? And then that's where you get some raised hand. I found that campaign works really well. The Can You Handle X this month. So just as an example, roofing. Can you handle an additional 3 to 5 metal roofing projects this month? Question mark. And then sending that to a bunch of people. A lot of people write back, yeah, of course I could. Yeah, I need more roofing projects, right? And you get responses, and then you can follow up and say, hey, great, we happen to specialize in helping roofers generate more metal roofing jobs. Let's have a conversation about how we can help, right? And then the other is a content offer, right? So if you create a cheat sheet, if you create a guide, just sending it out, hey, I developed this great report on how to generate more leads via the internet for your roofing business. Is that something you'd be interested in? Question mark. And they reply back. You don't send them the guide. You call them up and say, hey, yeah, you requested my guide. I've got it here for you. Just wanted to connect and answer some questions for you. What's the best email, etc. But all of these work out to be great conversation starters. And you want to use some facsimile of each of these. And I get questions from people. They're like, does cold email even work? I sent a couple cold emails and got no reply. And I want to assure you that cold email with the right structure, with the right list, can be really effective. So just a couple of screenshots. This was to a plumber in Tallahassee. We wrote him an email, cold email, just went out to a bunch of people. And his reply was, sure, let's chat. Do you want to send an invite? This was a big company that we were actually interested in working with. Wrote back, Steve forwarded me your email. I'm very interested in speaking with you. When can we talk? Thad wrote, I'm interested. Keith Lawson wrote, I'm interested. Send me some additional information and costs. So this was mostly from the One Plumber in Your Area campaign. So you can imagine, we said, look, we're looking to work with just one plumber in the Tallahassee area. It's going to be first come, first serve. Here's what we've done for some other clients. And he writes back, I'm interested. This is somebody that's pretty interested. Like I've got some urgency that I'm tapping into in this situation. Anna is one of the members of the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint. And she's been following some of the templates and the campaigns that we use. She wrote, I think Lead Kahuna is going to work. We got 2 interested from yesterday's blast. And then Mike from the Dental Boost wrote, I just landed a new client, first call from the emails, willing to do a good budget. So, this is just to encourage you. Yes, cold email can work. It's not my favorite play, but if you've got it going consistently and you know that you can kind of systematize it, put a virtual assistant once you're big enough to run it for you, it's just one channel that's constantly going out, building your database, planting seeds, getting some raised hands, and giving you the ability to land clients on a consistent basis. So just, in the online dominance, or the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint, which I'm going to offer you guys towards the end of today's call, we have swipe and deploys for all of these different campaigns. Very specific step-by-step instructions on how to scrape your list. Our proven templates for all 3 of those campaigns. They're all multi-step, multi-touch. So it's a series of emails, a series of web forms, a series of social interactions, the actual voice broadcast scripts. I fleshed all of that out. It's the ones that we actually use and that the members have been using with great effect. So just know that that's available to you in the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint, which of course is available for purchase. So what I want you to do now is just get clear. What you have to do is determine where you're going to pull your list, right? There's lots of different ways. Are you going to join the association? Are you going to tap into a scraping tool? Are you going to go out and buy the list? Then I want you to map out your campaign, which is like, what emails are you going to send? Are you going to take the one plumber or one company in your area approach? Are you going to take the, hey, I've got this great information to share with you approach? And then this is the important part. Commit to get 500 emails out every single week. That's been the game changer for a lot of our clients, a lot of our members. When they get to that level, when you get 500 every week, that's 2,000 emails going out, and 99% of them have no interest, but you get the 1%. Just the people that reply back, yeah, I'm kind of interested, or the people that open their email and you have the opportunity to jump on them. you get some raised hands. And the raised hands is where it's at. If you're busy all day just cranking on the phone, or you're going out and just knocking on people's doors, you're not tapping into the potential of volume. And so you have to work so much harder to get the result. And really the result in this case is to get strategy sessions. If you're going to land 3 to 5 new clients per month, you have to be able to get like 15 or 20 strategy sessions. Those are people that have said, yes, I'm interested, and they let you show them where there's a problem with their current strategy and how you can help. So really where we're going next is you want to use cold email to develop a list, right? Because you're buying or scraping, and then you're reaching out via Lead Kahuna and or Mailshake and other cold email systems. But really what I want you to get is the true power is you can take all of those emails, people within your niche that may or may not have an interest in what you have to offer, and move them into long-term nurture. Right? And this is where we go from cold email, where we're chasing people down, they don't know anything about us, they don't have any reason to trust us, and we're having to hard sell them, to they're knowing us. They're seeing us as an expert. They're like, okay, this guy has given me information. He's invited me on webinars. He's given me value. He's showed me case studies, right? And they come to you pre-positioned to buy. So what I want you guys to do now is to start to think, I've got this strategy over here with cold where I'm shaking bushes and I'm getting some raised hands. And now I'm going to shift into nurture, long-term, planting seeds where those 2,000 plus people every single month go from not knowing you at all to being exposed to you. And really that's where there's extreme power. That's where the lion's share of our business comes from. People call us and they say, hey, I've been watching your videos for years. I've been getting your emails for years, and I'm finally ready to hire you guys. And it's not a question of convince me why I should hire you. It's how much does it cost? Is my area still open? How soon can we get started? And that's really where I want you to go. So that's what we're going to talk about next. We talked a lot about cold, and really you have to have an aggressive cold strategy going into 2019 so you can control your own destiny. If you just wait for inbound leads, if you wait for marketed leads, you might be waiting all year and only get a couple of at-bats. But if you get an aggressive outbound strategy where you're sending emails and you're being aggressive, you're going to get raised hands. You're going to start to develop your list, and you'll be able to control where you're going to actually end up. So I want to hear from you guys some takeaways on this. I paused at each of the key sections. This is definitely a key section. We're going to shift from cold to nurtured and really developing your expert positioning to get customers coming to you. But what were some of your key takeaways from the whole conversation around cold outreach? David wants to know, is there a link to your cheat sheet? Yep, if you go to plumberseo.net, which is our company website, it's right there. It's the main thing that we offer. You can kind of opt in for that and experience the whole process. And if you join the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint, which I'm going to recommend all of you do, you're going to have access to swipe and deploys and all this stuff, the creatives, the guides, the email sequences, the whole 9 yards. Come on, guys. I want to hear from you in comments. What are your takeaways on the cold? What are you going to do? What are your questions? Jeff says, lots of different avenues for client acquisition. David says, there was so much great information. I'm swamped with ideas. David says, the amount of cold emails to be sent monthly is 500 weekly, not monthly. I might have typed that wrong. Nicholas says, question. When I Google specific niches, everyone seems to be underserved. I get a bunch of results for SEO agencies that seem to service the niche already. What are your thoughts? Well, so you're right. Every niche, there's people going after, right? But it really does not matter because there's lots of niches. There's lots of clients in every niche. Don't let the fact that somebody got there before you prevent you from entering, right? So I don't know if that helps, but don't let that slow you down. Don't let that stop you. All right. So the next piece is to build authority and to get clients coming to you, right? The challenge with cold, and it's a very important part of the game, is that you have to convince the clients. You have to do a lot of chase to get them to convert. And if you can position yourself as the expert and kind of flip the script from you chasing them to them chasing you, your business totally change. It really becomes a much easier and fun thing to do. And so there's lots of things you can do to position yourself as the expert in just about any niche. The first is to develop yourself a keynote presentation, which is just a thoughtful presentation on what somebody in that particular market should do to get better results online. So somebody type in here what niche you're going after, and I'll give you a very specific example. Somebody type in their niche. Quick, come on. Time's flying. I can't believe how quick we're. Okay, so Scott focuses on pest control. So keynote presentation. 9 things every pest control company should do to generate more leads online, right? And then you do a presentation that hits those 9 things, right? They should have a great website. They should get ranked. They should, optimize in a certain way, right? And so you develop a keynote presentation that you record and you put up on YouTube. You load it into some social profiles, and then you start to reach out to the association, say, hey, I've got this great keynote presentation on how to help your pest control guys generate better results online. Great way and a great foundational step. Everybody should have at least one core keynote presentation. We talked about a cheat sheet. You could also have a marketing guide, which is basically that same thing. The 9 key steps for every pest control company to truly maximize your lead flow online. A niche-specific website, so that's not localagency.com. It's pestcontrolmarketing.com, right? It's something that is all built, all of the content around it is built and written for that niche. Like if you go to plumberseo.net, the whole website is how do you generate better results as the owner of a plumbing business or an HVAC business online. And I go into lots of great information on how to claim their directories and how to generate online reviews and lots of case studies. And so you want to have something like that where when people do think, man, I'm kind of interested in you, and they go to look you up, they see that you've got information out there and they see you as the expert. Case studies and testimonials, video-based webinars, that's just taking your keynote and recording it and then inviting people to it on autoplay. White paper and guide, the complete guide to internet marketing for that niche. So we've got our book, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right for Plumbing and HVAC Contractors. This is one of the most powerful positioning assets that we ever did, right? Because ultimately, who's the expert? The expert is either the person at the front of the room or the author of the book. And if you can say you wrote the book on internet marketing for that niche, you're the expert and you can own that expert status. Email sequences, making sure you're following up automatically when somebody registers. A podcast, on my podcast, I've got 2. The Plumbing HVAC Marketing Show, which is where I interview multi-million-dollar plumbing companies from across the country. That gives me great positioning. And then my Plumbing and HVAC Marketing Podcast, which is where I just share ideas and tips. And then a printed newsletter. So we send out a printed newsletter every month to the people in our space. They get it in the mail. This was a returned one. And a lot of people don't mail stuff. People don't get stuff in their mailbox anymore. So when you send something in the mail and you show up consistently, a great way to position yourself as the expert. So these are just some tidbits on expert positioning. There's lots of things you can do. Most of these would be overkill for most of you guys right out of the gates. But what I found to be the most powerful lever in positioning, because it really touches a lot of these things in a very succinct way, and that's to leverage monthly topical webinars, and that's really the ultimate content lever for agency growth. And I'm kind of going to unpack that for you. Because you're going to be developing lists, right? You're going to do cold email. Ideally, you're going to join the association. You're probably going to do some type of marketing through Facebook ads or pay-per-click advertising or direct mail, and you're going to wind up with a database. And I recommend like Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign or Agile CRM, like a holding tank for all of your prospects that have raised their hand or that you've cold outreach to, and you're going to have them sitting there. And what happens in most cases, you get this database and you never touch it. Or you, like once in a blue moon, you send an email out to them, and it's really a waste of time, right? What you have to do is figure out how you're going to nurture that database. And really, when you start to do this, it changes everything, because you do cold email associations that sits in the CRM, but then you touch them a couple times a week with value-added content. You nurture them. You offer your services to them, and that's where you can start to get a steady flow of new clients coming in every month. And what I found is that you can develop a systematic process for creating new content and nurturing and really shaking that database and having new clients come out. every single month by using webinars. And by this, I don't mean like a one keynote presentation webinar. I mean something new and topical on a monthly basis. And I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. And it really has a massive amount of power on two very critical areas: to grow your database. So you want to be adding new prospects to your database every single month. So you're going to buy the association list and eventually you've got that, but you need new people, right? And then you need to nurture the people that you already have in your database so that you can get the ones that are kind of interested to get on your schedule and to hire your services. So the way webinars helps you grow your database is because when you create a webinar, it can be syndicated in a lot of different ways, right? You do a webinar about how to get ranked, and then you do a webinar about how to get reviews, and then you do a webinar about how to set up a website for a pest control company. And then you can take that one piece, you can load it up on YouTube, you can get it on iTunes, you can take the slides and put them on SlideShare, you can take the recording and put it up on social media, both in your personal page, your business page, groups that you control, and groups that you participate in that are relevant to your niche. And by doing so, you can pull people into your funnel every single month because they saw that new webinar that you did last month that was really interesting, and they start to follow you or they start to opt in and they get into your database. And then you can nurture the database by rolling out fresh content every single month. And when you do live events, which are a live webinar like what we're doing right now, you get their attention. You have a reason to email them multiple times, and you have a reason for them to give you their undivided attention for a little period of time. And so really, I believe that one new webinar per month can drive your entire content and lead generation machine for your digital marketing agency. And so I'll just kind of unpack a little bit about how this works. First of all, again, it gives you the reason to email them multiple times. So let's say you've got 1,000 pest control companies sitting in your database. Because you commit to do a webinar every month, you have the email that goes out to them, hey, I've got a webinar coming up this month about this. You've got the reason to email them right before the webinar happens. You've got the reason to email them after the fact. And what I found is, if you don't have a reason to email them, the database goes cold. But if there's a value-added reason, you can really be in their inbox very, very frequently without annoying them and by adding value on a consistent basis. You can drive those multiple streams of new content, and that's like your live webinar when it happens. That's the YouTube recording that you upload into YouTube. It's the sliced up content, so you can take a 10-point webinar and slice it into 10 individual videos. That worked well for me. Initially, I had one webinar, sliced it up multiple times, and that I just kind of saturated YouTube with all great content about how to market a plumbing company online, and it was all just split from one hour long presentation. You then take the recorded version of your webinar and you post it on your website as a blog post. You take the audio from that, you kind of export the MP3 file, and now you've got a podcast episode that can sit on iTunes and other podcast sites. You take the audio words that you spoke and you have them transcribed through a service like Rev. You take the slides and you put them up on SlideShare. You kind of syndicate this out into social media, and it really drives a myriad of great content, a great reason to contact your prospects on a monthly basis, and again, can really drive your whole engine of content generation. I want to hear from you guys. I kind of went on a tirade on this. It's something I'm very passionate about because it's really one of the secrets to our rapid growth and success. Just put in like yes if you get me and you're following me and this all makes sense, and you can kind of see why you would want to do webinars, the value of doing webinars. Let me know. Just make sure I'm not like rattling off at no reason. David's all good. Manny says yes. David says yes. Scott wants to know what webinar platform. I like Zoom. I think Zoom is great. There's lots of good ones. Jerry says yes. Kirsten says yes. Okay, good. So what do you do webinars about? Just do it on stuff that's relevant to your prospect base. But you guys all are students of the game. Like, you're sitting on this webinar, so you're sitting on other webinars. You're hearing from other experts. You probably go to conferences. If you take that great information and you apply it to your niche, pest control, pool builders, plumbing companies, nobody's taking that great information and applying it to that niche. You have the ability to really stand out. And so That's what you do it on, right? You cover the fundamentals, how to set up the website to convert, how to get ranked, how to get online reviews, how to tap into social media, and the list goes on and on and on. It's not hard to come up with 12 webinars. That way you can do a new webinar every single month that would be of interest and of value. And I promise you, you even do like 3 or 4 webinars a year, you're going to position yourself as the expert. You're going to be the thought leader in that niche. Clients will come to you as the expert. And then opportunities to present at the front of the room in big conferences where your clients and prospects are aggregated will come. And when that starts to happen, the whole dynamic of your business changes. So, in the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint, I share our webinar. So I do this. I eat my own dog food. And so I've already made these webinars for myself. I run them every month on different topics. I actually just take the presentation slides. I take the landing pages that I set up. I take the emails that I use to promote it. I take the emails that I send after the webinar, the social posts, the whole 9 yards. I put them into the members area. So, if you guys jump in with me in the 7-Figure Agency Blueprint, you're going to have access to our entire database of webinars that you can truly swipe and deploy with step-by-step instructions on how to do this stuff. So, I believe it was Scott was asking, what do we recommend? So, Webinar Engine, Zoom, opt-in funnel to opt in for the webinar and get to the thank you page. I use ClickFunnels. I like ClickFunnels. You can use other tools for that. To get people to register, I use emails through Infusionsoft, but again, there's lots of other tools for that. I use Facebook advertising to my retargeted list, and that's a great ninja strategy to be omnipresent and to get your prospects into the webinars. And then I syndicate to YouTube, SlideShare, blogs, and iTunes. I know we're going long, so I don't want to go into too much depth on this, but these are the steps. These are exactly what you do before the webinar. These are exactly what you do after the webinar, and you can really tap into the power of both creating the content and syndicating it in a really powerful way. So one last thing I'm going to say on this topic of using webinars and positioning yourself as the expert is to make sure you offer a shortcut. And this is the hack to get qualified appointments even if they don't show up on the webinar. So you promote the webinar, you get them to a landing page. Once they get to the landing page, instead of just getting a confirmation, they're going to see a video. And this is what I recommend all of you do. Of you saying, hey, thanks for registering for the webinar. It's going to be awesome. If you're like most pest control companies, you like to understand how it works, but you really want somebody that knows what they're doing, can do it for you. And if that's you, I want to offer you the opportunity to schedule a time with me where I can talk about how we can execute this for you in your business. That 1-2 punch is the best way to shortcut getting appointments and getting a consistent flow of qualified leads. Because the fact is, we all spend a lot of time vexing over the perfect webinar. Probably some of you are like, man, I don't know if I can do the right webinar. And is my slide going to look right? Am I going to say the right words? The fact is, most people don't attend the webinar, right? If you promote this to 1,000 people and 60 people register, you're going to have like 7 to 10 people that show up. Most of them don't watch the webinar. And really, even more important, your best prospect, the person you really want, the 7-figure agency business owner that will make this decision and jump with you on board right away, will not attend your webinar. They just don't have the time. They don't really care that much, but they will register for the webinar. This is the most crazy insight, and hopefully if you don't get anything else from today's webinar that you can execute, get this. It's not about the webinar, it's about the promotion of the webinar. If you can send interesting emails that get your prospect interested enough to say, wow, I want to know about that topic, and you can get them to register, you shortcut that by offering the appointment on the Schedule Now page. You can create new appointments with highly qualified prospects on a monthly basis, even if they don't attend your webinar. So don't overthink the webinar. Don't overthink the presentation skills. Promote the webinars. Get the clients that are interested and get them on your calendar. Does that make sense to everybody? Put in why if you get, that's a massive insight. Actually, put an exclamation point if you understand that's an extremely powerful insight that really changed our business. All right, good. A lot of exclamation points. Perfect. So just to illustrate this point, I did a webinar on local service ads a couple months ago, and this is pretty typical for me now. 193 people register, 58 people filled out my pre-assessment form, and 19 scheduled strategy sessions. For years, I did webinars. I would promote the webinar. The thank you page would just be, hey, thanks, put it on your calendar. And then a bunch of emails and I have some people show up, and I'd maybe wind up with like 1 or 2 appointments. And that was fine, 1 or 2 appointments, and a couple of them turned into sales. Fantastic. When I started doing that shortcut, look at this, 19 scheduled strategy sessions. And I can do that with a lot of my webinars these days because I have a pretty big list and a pretty big following. But that shortcut is really a game changer. And just an example outside myself, you guys might know Jeff Fisher from Local Child Care Services, or at least at the time that was his business. He joined our program. He was a generalist agency, kind of stagnated. He jumped in, he bought into the concept, choose a niche, decided to focus on local childcare, committed to like really selling recurring monthly services. He had been selling like $175 a month stuff, and he upped it to $1,000 per month. And the key thing that moved him forward was starting to do webinars, and he started doing webinars every single month. And I think Jeff will tell you he doesn't have a lot of presentation confidence. It's not his favorite thing to get in front of people and present, but he committed to it, and he did it. And he started landing, on average, 2 to 3 new clients every single month from the webinar strategy. And that's what moved him forward to the point where he was able to sell his agency last year. And now he's one of our 7-figure agency success coaches that kind of helps me train other agencies like yourself how to execute this stuff and how to move their businesses forward. So again, in the members area, as a member of the 7-figure agency blueprint, we give you this stuff to swipe and deploy. We've got a great workbook that gives you step-by-step how to set it up, what tools to use, how to get a virtual assistant to help you execute this on a monthly basis. And the key things I want you to do here are commit to monthly webinars, map out your next 3 months worth of content at a minimum. I've got my 12 months, and then block time in the calendar to really build out your first campaign. So I want to hear some takeaways real quick. What were some of your key takeaways from this whole session on positioning yourself, on running webinars? Real quick, don't take a lot of time, just kind of get this in comments. I'd like to hear some feedback here.
I can send you an email with every single bullet point we talk about.
David's got to run. It's about the webinar. It's about the shortcut. Awesome. So we really went deep on this whole generalist concept, right? You have to have a CRM with a database. You should be tapping into cold outreach so you can build your list. You should have an opt-in campaign. You should have an appointment funnel. And then you're going to have a strategy to develop new content on a consistent basis. And so that's really the 7-figure agency plan. We went deep on choosing the model, filling the funnel, building authority. There's lots of other things you really need in order to build a successful agency. How to build your team, how to build sales mastery. But I know those 3 things can be massive levers to move you forward. So let me just ask you a question. Are you getting value from today's session? In the comments box, give me a why if you're getting value from today's session. Got a why from Nicholas. Yes, very good. Yes, good. Okay. So here's what we covered so far, right? We decided on our business model. We set clear goals and growth targets, which was really going to move you forward. And we built a marketing plan to fill our funnel, build our authority, and get clients coming to us on a consistent basis. And we shared a lot of case studies, right? We talked about Alan, we talked about Brian, we talked about John. Really what I want to talk about now is your case study. How can you be one of the next 7-figure agency success stories